In previous videos, we've discussed how to find and evaluate information to support your research. But research involves a lot more than just collecting sources. We must be able to synthesize and expand upon the information we interact with and find a way to package and communicate it to others. One common format we use to communicate information is the research paper. You're probably already familiar with research papers and may have been assigned a few throughout your academic career. Even if you've written many, it can be helpful to break down the anatomy of this format so that we can better understand it. The structure of a research paper is similar to that of academic journal articles, though some of the elements may vary depending on your area of study or even your instructor's guidelines. Let's take a look at the structure of two different types of research papers, one in the sciences and another in the humanities. In the sciences, research papers typically follow the IMRAD format, which stands for Introduction, Methodology, Results, and Discussion. These are the primary sections of this kind of research paper, but there's still more to it than that. First, we begin with the title page, which includes basic information about your paper, including its title, author, and course information. The information you include here may depend on your instructor's specifications. Next comes the abstract, a brief paragraph of about 150 to 250 words that provides a broad overview of your paper, including your research question, methodology, results, and conclusions. Instructors will not always require an abstract, but they can be helpful for introducing longer, more detailed papers. Now we've reached the introduction, which is just what it sounds like, an introduction to your research topic. This is also where you'll present the purpose and importance of your research and state your thesis. Sometimes the introduction of a research paper is followed by a section known as a literature review, which we'll dive into in another video. For now, let's move on to our next section, methodology. This is where you will outline in detail how you conducted your research. The general rule for methodology is that your description should be in-depth enough for someone reading your paper to be able to reproduce your research, so be as thorough as possible. The results section is where you discuss your research findings. You don't need to get into analysis yet. This portion is all about data and statistics. This is also where you can feature any tables, charts, or graphs you've created to display your results. Your discussion is where you will provide analysis and discuss the significance of your findings. You'll want to make connections to the existing discussion on your topic and make sure that you use your analysis to support your thesis. Finally, we come to the conclusion, where everything gets tied together. In this final section, your scope broadens back out and you can communicate how your research fits into the big picture of your topic. Here you may also include thoughts about how the study went and recommendations for future research. Now let's switch gears and take a look at the structure of a humanities research paper. In this kind of research paper, there's typically no requirement for a title page. The information that would go on a title page is featured at the top of the first page of your paper, and you can jump straight into your introduction from there. Once again, the introduction provides the reader with the purpose of your paper and includes your thesis statement. The introduction is followed by the body, which is the most substantial part of your paper. This is where you make your argument and defend your thesis. Body paragraphs are typically structured with a topic sentence, which introduces the main point of the paragraph, evidence, or information that supports your main point, analysis, which is an explanation of how your evidence supports that main point, and finally, a final transitional sentence that relates the paragraph's main point to that of the next. Another section that papers in the humanities share with those in the sciences is the conclusion. This is not a summary, but a chance for you to make your final argument for your thesis. This section also serves as an opportunity for you to remind readers of the relationship between your research and the larger context it exists within. No matter which type of research paper you are writing, it will need a section at the end which includes a list of all the resources you referenced. The formatting of this section will depend on whichever style guide you're following, such as APA or MLA. So now we know the elements that make up a research paper. But how exactly do those elements take shape as we write? We can think of research papers like an hourglass. Your research paper starts out broad in the introduction, providing an overview of your topic that hopefully grabs the reader's attention. as you approach your thesis statement, your focus becomes narrower. We're no longer discussing a general topic, but the specific question of your research. This focus stays narrow throughout your body paragraphs or sections. Each paragraph or section in the body will focus on supporting specific aspects of your thesis. In your conclusion, just like an hourglass, things broaden back out by communicating how your specific research changes or clarifies the bigger picture. So now we know what a research paper is supposed to look like, and we've gathered all of our sources. Time to jump in and start writing, right? Not exactly. Before we get started, we need to organize our ideas to make sure our writing is logical and cohesive. We can begin by mapping and outlining. Mapping will help us by getting all of our ideas out of our brain and onto a page. Although this is technically a step towards organizing our ideas, mapping doesn't necessarily have to look organized. This is more of a rough plan that will help you clarify your thoughts before moving on to outlining. To start mapping, you can put your thesis statement at the center of a page and build a diagram around it with the points you plan to make. Under each point, list observations and evidence. Finally, you can make connections between different points. This will help you determine the best order for your paper. Once you've got a map of all your ideas, you can move on to your outline. You can think of an outline as the skeleton of your paper. It provides structure and order to the ideas you planned out by mapping. Your outline might look similar to notes you would take in a class, with big ideas branching into smaller details. A thoughtfully constructed outline will keep your ideas in order and act as a guide once you're ready to write your paper. The evidence and analysis we provide in the body paragraphs make up the meat or muscle of our paper. This is where we put all of the information from sources we've collected during our research to use. But as we know, it's not just as simple as referring to a single source for every point we plan to make. We'll have to find a way to incorporate the many sources we found in our research. In the next video, we'll learn about what it takes to write a strong paper by exploring how to synthesize information from multiple sources and how to integrate information from our sources appropriately. Want some help? Schedule a research appointment with one of our librarians today.